And that's my take for today, entitled Obasanjo's Excesses and Atiku's Die-Hard Ambition. Nigeria deserves better. Now, there are stories of the relationship between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former Vice President Abubakar Atiku, and former President Olusegun Obasanjo that most Nigerians don't know. But here is the main gist. President Tinubu and VP Atiku belong to the same General Musa Yar'Adua political family in the Third Republic. Note as well that Yar'Adua was Obasanjo's number 2 when he was the military head of state. That was why Obasanjo could access the clout of the Yar'Adua political family in the build-up to the 1999 presidential elections, which he won, including his decision to make Atiku his vice president. Now, post-1999, when Obasanjo and Atiku started falling out, Tinubu was perceived by Obasanjo as aligning with Atiku against him. Obasanjo and Tinubu are known to have engaged on some occasions in open altercations regarding this matter, calling each other unprintable names, often at the instigation of Obasanjo, including inside the Aso Villa when Tinubu went as governor for a meeting with President Obasanjo. That meeting included the late Professor Akin Mabugunje. As soon as Obasanjo cited Tinubu, he started raining abuses on him, even before he could take his seat. After a while, Tinubu couldn't take it anymore, and so he responded in kind. And there you have Professor Akin Mabugunje of blessed memory trying to get in between them to stop the verbal hostilities. It didn't work, as the altercation continued and that particular meeting never held. Now, why is that story important? Because younger Nigerians must understand that some of these old foes have sometimes preferred their own personal preferences ahead of national and public interest. So what is happening now with Obasanjo retelling the story of how his greatest regret is making Atiku his vice president as we approach the 2027 election is a continuation of an old fight. We must be bold enough to say Nigeria is greater than both of them. So like I noted, a few days ago, former President Obasanjo renewed his attack on former Vice President Atiku. Nigerians must ask, is this about Nigeria, or this is about two men who cannot let go of what happened in 1999, 2003, and 2006? Because the truth is simple. Nigeria's future does not belong to Obasanjo, and it does not belong to Atiku. It belongs to all of us. Let us start with Chief Obasanjo. Baba's foremost weakness, some people will argue, has always been that he believes everything should revolve around him. Country should revolve around him. Party should revolve around him. Constitution, all of those things ought to be secondary to him. For instance, the aborted third-term plot and saga is a proof. But yes, Obasanjo certainly played a crucial role in the national emergence of Atiku in 1999. Yet, on the other hand, there is record that shows that Atiku, who abandoned his governorship victory in Adamawa, also placed his political structure and financial war chest behind Obasanjo for the PDP primaries and the general election in that time. Now, in 2003, Obasanjo had to beg Atiku again for a second time. He needed Atiku's hold of the PDP governors to survive. Then in 2006, when Obasanjo pushed a third-term agenda, Atiku led the resistance inside government, leading to a frustration of that immoral bid to twist the constitutional term limits for the president. Now, just as it is true that in the Obasanjo-Tinubu face-off, it was Obasanjo who normally will throw the first bombshell, Baba has always been the first one all in public condemnations on Atiku. Yes, Obasanjo as president did advance the country comparatively. We must concede that. But his legacy also includes some rather damning developments. Let's recall a few. Do or die elections in 2007. Those were Obasanjo's words, and his actions legitimized the militarization of party politics in Nigeria. And it was during his tenure that systematic rigging of elections went to a worsening level. We are still detoxing from that. It was also Obasanjo that started the destruction of the PDP internal democracy when he hunted out the party chairman then, Audu Ogbe, who was trying to run an independent party. No wonder PDP is still reeking in that affliction up to today. What about corruption in the National Assembly? The Ghana must go politics was industrialized, if I can say that, under Obasanjo. Lawmakers were allegedly offered $50,000 each during the third-term push. Now, all of those things don't talk about statesmanship. Those are just excesses of a former leader. We should never forget. But we shouldn't spare, and we wouldn't spare Alhaji Atiku Abubakar either. It is Atiku's sixth run for the presidency. 1993, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023. Additionally now, 2027 is loading. Atiku was vice president for 8 years, and he has his own tons of baggages from corruption allegations to privatization scandals. He even owned up to wasting public money on power reforms without any tangible results for Nigerians. So when Atiku talks about rescuing Nigeria, we must ask him, why does he think that with over 200 million people in this country, we must depend on the past destroyers of Nigeria to fix it? Why is Atiku not throwing his weight behind a new face and people with fresh ideas and fewer or no baggages? Why is he not doing that? The Atiku we know and his effort to go for the 2027 polls, presidency again, has nothing new to offer. His campaign and his party are only attacking the incumbent without articulating how they plan to be different, at least so far. Ambition, therefore, without renewal is just recycling. And the idea of it is my turn is not a policy, even though that was what President Tinubu said in 2023. Nigeria does not belong to these men. Some of them have had their turn. We had 8 years of darkness under Obasanjo and Atiku. Nigeria belongs to a new generation with new ideas, and we must fight based on results, not on ego. We cannot solve 2027 problems with 2003 grudges. Nigeria should move on. Eventually, we should let Obasanjo, Tinubu, and Atiku leave the stage so that we can have a new Nigeria. Until then, at least, we should not be fooled by their personal fights.